There we go. I forgot the mic again. Darn it. I'll figure that out one of these days. Good morning, good afternoon, and I saw some of my German friends are online. Guten Abend. Here it is. It is January 16th, 2018. My name is Jeff Fritz. Welcome back to the Fritz and Friends stream. I'm excited to get into our code today. We've got a great pull request that I want to review. And I've actually got a request from someone. Hey, can you finish this functionality you started? So we're going to take a look at that. Just taking a peek back and forth here. Everything looks good. Music to code by, of course, the music playing in the background. This is music to code by from my good friend Carl Franklin. Today we're listening to a piece called Cyan. This was made available in 2015 on the third Music to Code By album, but of course is available to you if you subscribe and download the new Music to Flow By app. Check it out. You can get that wherever you download cool apps for your phone. Alright. Today's hat, I wasn't sure how well this is going to work, and I'm already seeing the chroma key playing funny games with me because you can see through it, because it's green, just like my chroma key background. I gotta represent my team, the Philadelphia Eagles, this week. They're in the NFL playoffs, the National Football League playoffs here in the United States, and of course that means we gotta cheer them on. They're gonna be playing in the conference championship game this coming weekend with a chance to go to the Super Bowl. We're very excited here in the Philadelphia area. Hope we get a big win. So, good morning to everybody in the chat room. Hey, Bruno, DJ Vortex, Skyhoshi, great to see you. Patriots fan. I see that, Nifix. Thanks a lot. You enjoyed watching those tapes of my boys practice before the Super Bowl a couple years ago, didn't you? It's all good fun. All right. So that's a little bit about the hat, music to code by. I had a request from someone I want to talk about briefly. And I've been kicking around this idea of centralizing chat. And it feels like something that I want to get to, and I don't think we want to necessarily do that. While the stream is going on, but there was a request to have to set up like a Discord channel, Discord server, where when the stream's not going on, we could gather, we could hang out, talk, discuss some of the projects, and grow this little community a little bit. I don't think that's too bad an idea. So I'm looking at setting up a Discord channel with some webhooks to notify when GitHub pull requests and issues are opened on some of the projects that we've been working on stream, and eventually when I get CI/CD, continuous integration set up, drop some notifications into Discord as well. So I think that's a possibility here, and I'm kicking around that idea. I think we're very close to wanting to do that. The other thing that I've been working on, I've been exploring setting up YouTube as a third syndication source, because I know there are some folks who have Mixer and Twitch outright blocked at their places of work during the day. So I think there's an opportunity there to pick up some more viewers if we were to go over to YouTube. Skyhoshi says we could work on getting you the viewer set up to stream code. Waiting on internet hookup at home. Currently at my mom's place, super slow internet, but I'm connected. People find things on YouTube in a Google search also. Yes, that's another thing, is it'll put me into Google searches very high. So that's an option. Is that Frederick? Thank you for the follow. I appreciate that. Welcome to the community. Let's see here. Wonderful. All right. So I'm looking at adding that. I'm thinking I'll probably do it. I may do it Thursday. Maybe, I don't think Saturday is a good time, but maybe Tuesday next week. We'll see. Google search can direct you to a currently live stream. Yeah. So that'll certainly pick up some more folks. It may even reroute some of you from Mixer and Twitch over to YouTube if it's a little bit easier to get there. The thing about YouTube is they don't have as high resolution as Twitch and Mixer. They don't go to full 1920 like I'm broadcasting now. They will scale me down to 1280. So, I don't know. We'll figure out. Ever wish you never started a project? Yes, I have. I have been in that problem in the past. As Hag, welcome. So, those are the couple things that I'm kicking around. I'd love to hear your feedback. I think we're pretty well set up to launch Discord for Thursday stream. YouTube Live, I think it's just a question of when. I think that's a definite thing that I need to set up. And Restream, the service I use to syndicate back and forth, already has all the plugins for that. So I'm going to test that out and move forward with that. And I've been talking to some other guests, trying to get them lined up. We're going to be doing some tech checks and showing them the setup here in the next few days so that we can get going and roll with some of these folks. So I'm very excited about getting some of these guests online and doing some pair programming. And I'm getting a sneak peek in the very near future of Visual Studio Live Share. Strictly internal, an alpha build that some of the folks are going to share. I'm excited to see where they are and kind of get a feel for what the product is capable of doing at this point. No word on public availability, but they're working hard on it. I know it's something they really want to talk about at things like MVP Summit, at things like upcoming Microsoft events. So no word, but we're gonna start. I'm gonna start to see some of these on at least internal builds, and we'll see just how featured they are. I probably won't be able to share them yet, but they're working on it. It's great to see progress. Before we get into the project today, I just want to share a little bit of news that I saw. I feel like I almost want to do a weird Pennsylvania news before I get started in code on some of these. Live cat found in checked bag at Pennsylvania airport. Don't check your cat in your bag. That's just wrong. Ugh. I feel terrible. Look at this little cat. That's a cute cat. And somebody stuck it in there next to their socks and pants. It's terrible. And this was in Erie, not Philadelphia. That's better a live cat than the alternative. This is true. So there you go. There's your little bit of goofy Pennsylvania news for the day. I'm going to roll over here to the GitHub repository. I love it as my green tile wall fills out here because of the work we've been doing on stream, and it looks like I'm productive. I'm going to bounce over here. It was the passenger named Schrodinger. Ah, well, nice one there. The current question that I have out there we're going to address today is to finish the YAML configuration builder. I'm going to talk about span on Thursday. I think that's going to be a great topic to discuss. And this Stack Overflow question, I'm going to try and get Glenn, and we'll talk about this on a stream when he's on board with us. Well, they know it's alive. That's true. They know it's alive. So today we're going to work on the YAML configuration builder, and I'll talk briefly about that. When we look at the configuration builders project, I'll come to that last here. I don't think there's any new issues here for Epic build music for us to discuss. That's fine. Stream Tools is the project we have been working on, and there's a great pull request here that I want to discuss and start taking a look at. And this is from SQL Mr. Magoo. Love that. Love that handle. So, add custom background colors and fix text wrapping problem in the caption. So this allows you to add custom blended background colors fix a problem with caption wrapping and updated the docs to reflect some new options that Mr. Magoo added here. And in case you wonder, it really is Mr. Magoo. What can I say? Great handle. So this is the Stream Tools project. For those of you who aren't familiar, there's a couple of widgets that you see here on screen, particularly the gold bar up at the top. That's at 454. There he is. There's Mr. Magoo. Great to see you today. So we've got 454 followers so far. When we hit 500, I will host an 8-hour ASP.NET Core workshop here live on stream. And also that followers count that you see way up in the corner there, those are actually generated from a web page, from a ASP.NET web application. And I use the OBS streaming software to embed those in the video. Now, what Mr. Magoo is fixed here, and it sounds so weird to say that, is, but it's fun to say. What Mr. Magoo is fixed is that we can now blend our background colors. And I want to go through and I want to talk a little bit about project management. And Mr. Magoo had a little bit of a problem here and had a lot of commits that we should merge so that we can take as one pull request, as one commit to add into our stream. So this looks like cool functionality, but to make sure that my history looks clean on the project, right? There are only 5 files changed here. Let's merge those 11 commits into one commit and give Mr. Magoo credit and show here's the result of all these changes, because really what Mr. Magoo wants us to accept is the aggregate, the result of all of these changes coming into the project. Now, typically GitHub has the ability to rebase and merge these things automatically, but there's a lot going on in here, and GitHub is actually a little bit confused and saying, you know what, you should do this in GitHub Desktop or down on the command line. And I am an elite command line user. Yeah, I think I could say that. Failed my Git exam. So let's take a look. Let's see if we can learn a little bit here about rebasing and consolidating some of these changes, so that it's a little bit easier to consume. This is something I've done this a lot of times when I've submitted pull requests, and I've had a huge number of these. It's a common problem, and it's easy to fix, and I hope we can learn a little bit by rebasing this together. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to open my command line, because all elite developers work on the command line, or at least that's what they tell me, or I learned while I was watching Hackers. So what I'm going to do is, from my project repository, I'm going to check out a branch and test the changes. So here we go. Let me go over to my project repository, which is in Fritz Stream Tools. I'm going to clear this, and I'm going to run PowerShell so I can get all of my great markup from PoshGit here. So I am going to back up to, I don't need to back up actually. I'm going to do this git checkout -b SQL Mr. Magoo dev. So what this is going to do is it's going to create a branch called SQL Mr. Magoo dev, and it's going to it's going to inherit from my dev branch. And now I'm in that branch, okay? And you can tell PoshGit is showing me this label here to tell me exactly which repository I'm in. So now I'm going to cheat and copy this pull statement in here because I want to make sure that I get that address correct. This is going to pull the contents of Mr. Magoo's dev branch, which is what he's asking for me to pull in changes from, and pull it into my local copy here. So here we're going to pull that in, and here's all of those changes. Not bad. That looks pretty easy to see. And what I can do now is it wants me to merge those in. Now, I'm not just going to merge them. I'm going to rebase so that I end up with one change here. And I'm going to look at my log first so I can see everything that changed. And look, bravo, look at that, sir, with the great email address, mrmagoo@gmail.com. Fantastic. So what I'm going to do is I want to go back to my last change, which is all the way back There it is. So I'm going to rebase all the way back to Alpha Echo 6 here. All right. So what I can do is I can say git rebase -I, and then I specify how far back, what's the one that I want to rebase all those changes onto. And I'm going to rebase onto Alpha Echo 6 Foxtrot Alpha. So Alpha Echo 6 Foxtrot Alpha. Now, by passing in the -I, that means I'm going to go into interactive mode, and it's going to show me here's all of the commits. And I'm going to take these and pick and choose and squash these together so that I end up with only one commit. Now, this is VI. And I know that kind of freaks people out. But I think we're going to be okay here. And just to make sure folks know what I'm doing, because some of the VI commands are a little bit esoteric, a little bit tricky to find my way around. Let's see. I'm going to start up Karnak here so you can see my keystrokes. And in fact, what can we do here? Let's start this. This is the wrong Karnak, actually. I've got two Karnaks. Well, maybe there's an initial problem I'm having with Karnak. Stand by. Let's take a look-see here. Karnak. Tell you what, let's uninstall. See, there's Karnak installed on January 13th. Now, why am I not getting... Interesting. All right, let's try that one more time. Let's start Karnak. Come here, you. All right. Now, there's a way to tell it. Show only keys which are listed in the key maps folder. No. Show only keys which have Control, Shift, or Alt windows. No. I want to show all keys because VI is just that weird. All right. There you go. Now you can see me with the up and down keys, not using all those other ones. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that first issue, 6 alpha 0, and I'm going to squash all these other ones on top of it. So I'm going to just start deleting these and insert an S for squash. All right. No. Get rid of that. Squash. And I'm using the DW command in VI to delete this word, right? So DW deletes that word, and then I'm just inserting S for squash, and you can see that down here in the list of commands. So now I'm just going to use capital Z twice to save and exit. And now here are all the messages that were in all of those commits. So I'm gonna yank some of these because they're duplicated. They're not really needed. So let's see. I'm gonna just delete this one, and I delete lines by issuing the command DD, lowercase d, twice, and it'll delete a line. So, and I can actually delete several lines by typing a number and then DD. So let's delete the next 3 lines, this line, and then the next 4 lines. Let's go 4 DD, and there it deletes a bunch of lines. So let's keep yanking. Yeah, get rid of that, this, that. Yep, keep going. I'm gonna go all the way down, and I think I want to keep the content of commit message 7. Oops. Now, how do I undo that? The undo command for VI undo is undo and redo. Here you go. Is U. All right. So let's go back over here, and I'll just do a U, and it comes right back. Welcome. Is that EA Johnson 1? Thank you for joining us here on the stream. 455 followers. Tell your friends. 45 to go. Here we go. All right. So I think that's all I really need. Let's get rid of this line. And then I will save by doing ZZ. And it rebased all those changes. So let me do a git log now. So I have, here's Mr. Magoo's change. And it's now 964.868. This is the SHA for that. And then there's my last change right there. So this looks pretty cool. This looks like a good point now that I can merge those changes into the stream and push everything up. So let's do that. So the next set of commands that GitHub says to do is to say git checkout dev and then do my git merge. So I'm just going to scoot this over here so I can see the commands and so you can see what's going on in my command prompt. What is the on-screen output overlay I'm using? That is something called Karnak. Right, so here it is. This was written as part of the, I believe it was called Code 52. Yep, Code 52 project, where they wrote a bunch of little tools, utilities over the course of 52 weeks, and this was one of the utilities that these folks wrote. So, but as you'll see, I have some problems with stability with Karnak, and it might be because I'm using Karnak through a remote desktop here. Mr. Magoo says, don't I want to test before push? Great idea. Thank you for reminding me. Otherwise, I would have just blindly pushed. Let's see here. I'll go over to Visual Studio, and let's take a look at the solution. Here we go. Now, my test project, because I'm in dev, doesn't include the unit tests that we added over in our unit test stream. So we're going to have to reconcile that at some point. But for here, unexpected error detected. Check the test output pane for details. Let's check over here. Unable to fetch source information. I'm not terribly concerned about those things. That's all for tests. Let's make sure we can build. Right, because that's the first unit test. Does it build? Build failed. All right. Let's take a look at what failed. It's being used by another process. Of course. Try again. There we go. Build succeeded. All right. So we're looking good so far. Let's start the stream. And then we'll take a look at some of the changes that Mr. Magoo submitted and determine whether or not to merge. So there's my checklist. So let's look at followers count, right? And we get our followers. If I go to followers goal and don't submit anything, I get my documentation. And here's some of the new pieces that Mr. Magoo added and was describing in that pull request. So now we can submit a collection of background colors, and if we want to blend those colors together, so we can say smooth step blue to green, stepped blue to green, and blended blue to green. Three different ways. So let's control click into these and see what these look like. That's pretty cool. That looks pretty cool. Found and forked. Cool. Thank you, Skyhoshi. So that's what the right, this is the first one, blended blue to green. Here's the second one where it's, the second one where it is stepped blue to green. That makes sense. It's stepping there at a specific, right, right, what's T? I see you passing in a T of 377. Is that T the current total? And it looks like we need to fix some of these. That's no problem. We'll clean that up. BG colors blue-green, and then blend. All right, so then smooth. That's kind of nice. All right. So that looks really neat. And I feel like when I implement and use this up top there, I think I want to go like red, yellow, green as we get really close to the end. But that looks really cool. Yeah, Bruno. It does look amazing. Thank you very much for the contribution here, Mr. Magoo. This looks really neat. I'm going to take just a few seconds here, and I want to clean up just a little bit of this documentation in here where these characters are just not they're not behaving properly, it looks like. So that was, I believe, views, followers, docs goal. There it is. Let me go down and let's take a look. Yeah. So when I look over here between the width and this t argument, right? And t equals 377. So it's actually taking and current, and it's turning that into an HTML entity. So that's actually right over here, right? Because that's the URL, and the URL looks fine, but it's this bit over here. So let's just change these so that we get that ampersand appearing properly in the documentation. I'm just going to copy this and replace. Let's do it a couple more times here. There, here, there. Good. And I think blue to green. Looking at this, oh, you're putting the 3 dots if it overflows. So if I make the width bigger, if I make the width 800, example blue to green, and it doesn't get that ellipsis, that's pretty cool. All right. My comment would be the ellipsis. I would love it if that was in the same color as the text. Oh, there goes Karnak. Go get him, Sky Hoshi. All right. So let's see here. Well, first off, I don't think I have any documentation around the current argument here. Yeah. So I think you added the current argument, didn't you? If I go back over here to my controller, followers, let's scroll down. So here's goal. Yeah, there it is. There we go. Current, if current is -1, then okay. That's fine. But let's add an entry to make sure we declare what that current attribute is. So I'm actually going to add it. Oop. And you've got DLs and separate DLs for each one of these. I think we can merge these all into one DL for our other parameters here. So I'm just going to merge these couple sections together. Do that. And I think that works pretty well for us. Let's see what it looks like. Yeah, looks the same, and I've removed a couple of those other ones. I totally pick up it's for testing. That makes perfect sense to me. Let's just drop that into the documentation so that folks know it exists. So, DT current, a current follower count to use for testing. There we go. Easy enough. And then now this looks a little bit better down here. All right. And the color, and then you added configuration options for these. Cool. All right. I think that looks good. And the files that you had changed, just looking at the total list of files, it was, I wish there was a way to just collapse everything up. So let's see. It was the followers controller, the configuration object, docs goal, and app settings. And what did we change in app settings? Just added this little bit of default information. So if I just go to followers goal, and let's say it's 500, kind of like I have now, and we say ASP.NET Core Workshop, just like I have. Width equals 800. Now I get the cool blend all the way to green. That's pretty cool. I like it. So without making any changes, that's what my bar is going to look like when I deploy it and use it here on the stream. So that's in, where'd it go? App settings. So this change right here. So the blend is saying 101. Now what are 10 and 1? When it lays out that comma value separated list of values between 0 and 1 representing how much of the color should be blended into the next color. Okay. Value of 0 means there will be a sharp cutover. Value of 1 means it'll be a smooth blend. Okay. And is it a third? Is it right? 33% to green. Okay. So then the three colors are 008, 888, and then 080. And so that's what each one of these is mapped to. So for the purposes of my stream, where I may want to go I may want to go red, yellow, green, right? I might want to go, let's come over to, not that one. Let me back up one here. So if we wanted to do red, yellow, green, and then I could do 1, 1, 1. Okay. First off, that's pretty cool. Now is that for the width of the bar, right? So if I take this down to 200. Oh, good. All right. So it only turns green when it gets out into the green. Very cool. All right. I want to use that as my configuration. So here's what I'm going to do. I really like the changes. I'm going to commit these changes first, and then let's deploy and then update my bar up top, and then we'll get into our configuration builder project here. So let me do a git status here. There's the little bit of changes that I put into the documentation. So I will commit that. Added, now let's just say added docs about current test value. Cool. All right, let's finish this pull request. So the instructions to finish here say now check out dev, git merge, git push origin. Fantastic. Let's do it. So git checkout dev, git merge, no ff, no fast forward. Just bring it over. SQL, and I can actually tab complete because I have poshgit and it knows what those things are. Merged, there's all my changes, and it knows that I'm 3 ahead of dev. So let's push. And now those updates are up there. And now it's saying that it has conflicts that need to be resolved. All right, let's take a look and see what it's complaining about here. Right, it's complaining about... Oh, it's complaining about how I redid the DLs. Yuck. Yuck. All right, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to just kill the old one. Right? And I got to remove the bottom marker. Looks good. Yep, commit it. Come on. There we go. Branch cannot be rebased. You stink. That's fine. I'm going to close it because we did merge it. All right. Very good. So this one here, custom colors for follower bar progress. I am going to close this because that's the thing. I'm hitting the tabs versus spaces thing as well. No, that's not it. Nope. All right. So now that's in my dev branch. I want to make sure that I get it down into my unit testing branch. So let me do a git checkout. Well, actually, let's do this. Git branch. I can delete that Bruno branch, and I can delete the Mr. Magoo branch. Let me get rid of those because we've merged. And the other one. Good. I will check out the unit test branch. And let's merge in dev. Fantastic. And git push. Terrific. All right. So everything's up to date. My unit tests all work. I've got branch hell, not anymore. I know that feeling. All right. So we've got that merged. Looks like a really nice feature. So what I want to do is I want to deploy this and push it over into... show me my tags here, buddy. Let me go back to dev. Show me my tags. Why isn't it telling me I have tags here? I thought I had tags. Tags. No. Tags. Nothing to show. Where did they go? All right, let's do this. Docker images. I know I have, look at that, up through 066. I'm gonna make this 067 and push. Unless you're documented the need for your branch, goodbye on my repos only. I think that's a great approach, Skyhoshi. And if you take a look, I'm trying to keep mine down to master, feature unit tests, and dev. And at some point, I should cut a new master branch. And should push from dev into master. Yeah. But for now, I'm gonna push a 067 version of this. And I wrote a little script called build that builds my project and sets up a Docker file. Well, it actually builds it and puts it into a Docker image, and then pushes it out to my private container repository, and then I can go get it and update what I'm showing here live on stream. So let's do it. I'm going to build and pass in a version number of 067. Build 067. There it goes. Forgot I was in PowerShell for a minute. All right, let's move that up. So that's going to build and push. Running really quickly because all of my resources, all my NuGet resources are all still copied down and available here locally. So nothing really should have changed there. And there it goes pushing out to Azure. Yep, 061, 062 already exists. Should skip right through some of these. There we go. 066 doesn't exist. I thought it did. It's a little bit bigger than the rest. I wonder what's going on there. Can I ask a Docker cost question? Go for it, Skyhoshi. What do you got? So, these are Linux-based containers. And how much does that Azure Docker repo cost per month? That's a good question. So let's come back over here. And let's go Azure. That's not how you spell Azure. Azure Docker registry cost. And I thought here's pricing, container registry. So price per day is 16 cents, 16.7 cents per day for 10 gigabytes. And you can set up 2 webhooks. If you want to have more than 10 gigabytes, it's going to cost you a little bit more. But 16 cents per day, right? Open up ye old calculator. And I'm using just the basic one for my little repository here. So 0.167 times 30 days in a month, you're paying about $5 a month. So that's not too bad. If you've already got an Azure subscription, another $5 to run a little container registry is pretty easy to manage out there. And of course, if you want to have more space, if you want to have webhooks wired up to it so you trigger events when other containers are committed, you can do that. And if you want geo-replication, you want your container replicated to your container registry replicated to other locations, it's available with the premium package. For some reason I got it in my head it was near 30. If you're using the bigger one here, it's going to get you out near 30, right? At 0.667, right? $20 a month. It's not bad. It's nice to have that private repository out there that you can rely on. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to copy this because I want to make sure that I get that into the this link into the rundown today. And I also want to make sure that I reference our pull request that we merged from Mr. Magoo. So I am going to copy that. I'm going to put it in my notes here. There we go. All right. All right, so that's a little bit about the container registry. So now, good, everything's pushed up here. Let me go to my production machine, and that's this one right here. There we go. You can see it's been tracking and reporting new folks that have started following here. I was using the container host a while back, and setting that up with this registry was costly. Yeah, so if you use a VM, a Linux VM, and you install the Docker registry on it, it's going to cost you a little bit more. This is platform as a service registry. So I'm going to shut this down, and let's pull in my new image here. And I've actually got a tool called get, because I don't want to remember to type this whole thing to go get the latest version of it. And here it comes. 42 meg of Docker image. All right. Now, before I run it, I want to go check my configuration here because I want to add the red, yellow, green capability here. So that's in my env text. So let's open that up. Dunks are us. Thank you for the follow. That's really cool. I appreciate you joining us. All right. So right now, I want to change BG colors and BG blend. So where I have fill background color in my configuration, so here's my configuration. Instead of it being Corpa, welcome. I appreciate the follow. So I'm going to enhance this by adding, I want this to be red, yellow, green. And then the other one I want is the fill background color blend. So let me grab that configuration and go back into my configuration file. That. And I want it to be a smooth blend all the way across. So I'm just going to say 111 so I can get that smooth blend. And now let's rerun my container. And then I'll force the bar to refresh up at the top, and it should be red, yellow, green going across. There we go. Container's running. So now in OBS, I am just going to tell it to refresh. And let's see. Come on. Now, it's not the color that I submitted. Let me take a quick look-see here, because I think what I've done... No. It's not in my... I don't have anything in my configuration that I'm passing in. So I think we found a bug here, Mr. Magoo. So let's look at this. So even though I've passed in environment variable settings, it's not overlaying these. Maybe I had to change something for the configuration from environment. Maybe. DJ Vortex, seems some folks aren't sure what you get with a free account on Azure. How about 750 hours of VMs? Yes. 250 gig of SQL DB? 5 gig of Cosmos DB and 400 RIU. Yeah, 1 million requests, 400,000 gigabytes of resource consumption with Azure Functions. Yep. You get a lot of free stuff with when you sign up for an Azure subscription before you even start running into some of these things. So let's see. It feels like the configuration here for the colors. If is null or empty, BG blend. Okay, so BG blend is coming off of here. So it should come through as null or empty and give me the background color blend. And it looks like it's pulling that blend properly. It looks like it is doing the 111. So I think that one's okay. I see it. I see it right here. Configuration fill background color. So it's not splitting it. It's only splitting it if it's BG color split. So let's do this. Let's put a split on this. Have you heard this book called C# in a Nutshell? Would you recommend it to someone who wants to learn C# for the first time? I think I've seen that. That's an O'Reilly book. Looks pretty good. I would give it a shot. So here's what I'm going to do. I think we need to test to see if the fill background color, right? Because, right, you're doing... So, okay, hang on. So, gradient is looking for an array of background colors, and I'm only passing in... It would only be passing in navy here. But is it an array? If you don't pass anything in, right now the app settings is an array, right? So I think... All right, let's do this. Let's take a peek here. Where's the configuration? I forget where the configuration is. That configuration type. It is follower goal configuration. So I'm going to do a control comma and go find follower goal. There it is. So fill background color is an array. Okay. All right. But it's not taking in the value that I put in my environment variable. Is it not taking in that value because it's a comma delimited list and it hasn't been made into an array? That feels like what I need to be looking at here. So let me go back over to let's do this. Let's go project. Right, this may be I just have my environment variable configured wrong. Is it debug? There it is. So I'm going to add the environment variable, and I want to make sure I grab the same one that I... where'd it go? Where'd it go? Nope, not that. I want to grab this one. Let's grab this one. And we'll set that there. And now I want it to be red, yellow, green. And if I structure it like that, will that work? So let's give it a shot. Sky Hoshi, that book is good for an overview, reminder book. I would recommend a step-by-step book for beginners or in a 24-hour book. Granted, that's a good book, but it's not a full deep dive into subjects a beginner would be familiar with. Yeah, I think you're right. I'm going to delete these, and let's see what the default is now. So now it's still not picking up my colors. Oh, wait a sec. It didn't. Let's restart. Because it looks like it didn't pass in my environment variable. In config, it is an array already, so it doesn't need a split. And config from app settings works. It's just from env that doesn't. You're right. Yeah, it's not picking it up from the environment. Maybe stage configuration value and test if a CSV string and split that. I'm wondering if I need to put quotes around these, because when I look at app settings over here, right? So this is clearly an array. So do I need to do something similar? Not that one, this one, where I have, right, quotes around these things. Let's see. Search C# step by step or C#. Yeah. So that's a recommendation of some books to check out for C#. All right. Nope, didn't pick it up. Maybe stage configuration value and test of a CSV string and split that. So what I'm hearing you say is let's change, not that one. Let's go find this. What I'm hearing you say is let's change this to just a string. And then we can do that split. Here. So now this doesn't work. Right? I need to turn it into a string. But if it is just one, I should be able to still do split on a comma, and it'll still give me an array even if it's only one value. So now if I go back to app settings JSON, I should be able to do this. And get that to work. And then I still got to check out my fill background color blend, right? Because right, this I think we might be running into the same thing with the array, right? Because as a configuration, yeah, all right, hang on. Let's restart this. I'm over here in the controller. Yeah. Don't need that. Refresh this. All right, now I've got absolutely nothing. Wonderful. Don't know if the configuration builder understands arrays. I think that's exactly it. Stephen Vore, I like Phil's C#6 and the .NET framework. Yeah, I don't think it's understanding and playing well with the arrays coming in from the environment. All right, so now my array that I'm passing doesn't, right? It doesn't work. So if I pass red, yellow, green like that, save those changes, submit. Roots84, thank you for the follow. I'm writing up a migration path for Azure Machine Learning for free to SLA backed. Nice. Let's refresh this. There we go. Now it's working from my environment variable. But is it right? So if I set current equals 395, push it further out there. So I am getting, is that 101? Maybe. right? And if I say, what is it, BG blends? Is that what it is? BG blend equals 111. Ah, okay. So let's make sure that I can pass that in. All right, so that configuration option is this one. And I know you can't see it, it's behind me. Trust me, it's there. All right, so let me grab that. And let's make this 111. Save, restart. Ibanez? Welcome, thank you for the follow. Let's see what... No, I'm not getting that value to pass through. No problem, we will clean this one up. That's easy to identify. So, so the problem that we're finding is the configuration blend is the configuration options. It's having a problem handling arrays, and that's all right. I get it. Here we go. Here's what I'm going to do. Mr. Magoo, I think this is the way to do it. Let's do this. Let's create public string as an array and call this fill BG color. Nah. Yeah. Color array. And we'll have it just have a get, and we will do return fill background color split. So then this logic is in one place, and anywhere else that we need to do it, it's still accessible. So I'll do the same thing here. Public double fill background. Let's go fill BG blend array. And this time, return fill background color blend split on this dot. Well, let me do a cast, huh? I should be able to do that. It's going to want me to, yep, bring in link. Still doesn't like it. Let's do this. Oops. Public double, yeah. So now I should be able to change that back to cast double. Nope, still doesn't like it. Can I convert enumerable double to double array? Fine. There you go. All right. That, and let's fix that. So now, back in followers controller, instead of putting it like this, I can say fill BG color array, fill BG blend array. That should work. And in my app settings, I can just change this to a string. That should work. Cool. Mr. Magoo agrees. I think that's a nice change without actually negatively impacting the intent. Unable to cast object of string to double. You stink. Split on the comma. Cast it to a double. So we will do the select. And you were doing a double dot parse. Works for me. Corpa asks, spaces? It should drop it. Is that right? Right, and if we say bg blend equals... So it still didn't pick it up from my environment variable over here. Fill background color blend. You know what? Let's put a breakpoint right there, just so we can see what this thing looks like. Because that feels weird. Use convert. That's not a bad suggestion either. Let's take a look-see here. Refresh. All right, so fill background color blend is, well, there's my first problem. It's bringing in 101 when I'm trying to pass in fill background color blend of 1, 1. I've only got 1 underscore. It needs to be 2. Which tells me, since I copied that, are we missing that extra? Yeah, that we're missing that there. No problem. We'll fix that. Give it one more shot. Okay, don't need this one. I'm going to go back 1. Refresh. All right. Fill background color blend. There's my 111. Beautiful. All right. Ship it. All right. So I should have a couple things here to fix. Yep. That's fine. Fixed configuration value handling from environment variable. And I will do a build, and I will call this 068. 6.8. There we go. Now, I'm going to let that run in the background and we'll deploy it here in just a few seconds. The main project I wanted to get to today was back over in configuration builders, where I actually had a request to do some more work on our YAML configuration builder. And we haven't touched this project in a few weeks, so I want to make sure everybody's up to speed on what it is. And we'll take a look and start working on that. And I don't even have it in my recent projects list there. Swag? That's not popping up there for Mixer. Corpa. C dev. Come on, Mixer. I don't think it's Mixer. I think it's Restream is not liking the emoticon. Have I broken it? Oh no! Yep, that one. There we go. We'll open this project. It's not showing properly in Mixer either, even though I selected it from the emoticons helper menu. You got something else going on there. Alright, close that. There's this. Alright. That finished building and pushing, so I'm happy with that. We'll be doing our work over here. I'm going to go back to my production machine and pull in that new... Oops, it's get. So configuration builders, while this is downloading, configuration builders is a new feature in .NET Framework 4.7.1 that allows you to enhance your .NET Framework, your desktop .NET Framework configuration with resources from a third-party source. Now that sounds simple. Oh gosh, why don't I just do that by reading and pulling in that data from that other location? Anyway, you can do that. You can certainly open up your own JSON file and read it directly. But what Configuration Builders does it allows you to enhance the standard configuration that comes with .NET Framework, which means you can inject values directly into app settings or connection strings or any other element inside of your app config or web config just by adding the appropriate markup to those files. So, yep, I need to fix that fill background color blend. Let's fix that. There it is. All right. And now I'll run that. Move this off to the side so it's not overlaying our stuff here. And I will refresh the follower goal. And we should get red, yellow, green up top there. Fantastic. Thank you, Mr. Magoo. That looks terrific. That was a great contribution. All right. So the configuration builder in this project with .NET 4.7.1, I can inject configuration from these other locations. So we've started off writing I've got a collection of sample projects here, but I've got an ini file configuration builder that will read an ini file and add that into your configuration. So in my sample here, if I show you the sample for the ini file, I have just a little configuration ini file, and in my app config I can say add the ini file configuration builder and apply those to my app settings, and all the contents from this will be applied and injected here because it's all just name value pairs. Okay. Now, where we left off, we had started working on a YAML configuration builder. Folks like YAML, let's start using YAML here. You know what? My follower count there in the corner didn't update either. Let's force a refresh on that. There it is, 459. Oh, so close. Go find 40 of your friends. Tell them to sign up and follow me on Twitch or Mixer, and we'll schedule that workshop in no time. Put me to the test doing an 8-hour stream here. All right. So I had started work on a YAML configuration builder. We got a great pull request. I forget who gave us the RSS. But there's an RSS configuration builder here. Giancarlo gave us this. And it'll read from an RSS location. And any configuration you have in there, it'll inject in. So that's a great way for you to set up a configuration server and then be able to populate that in all of your applications. So that's a neat little trick you may want to use. But we want to work with YAML. Let's do a git status here, see what's different that we may need to commit. New spec and an assembly info. Let me do a quick git diff here, not duff. Diff. Let's see what changed. Oh, I updated the release notes and I marked it as 03. That's fine. I'm going to commit these. Updated new spec. All right. I'm not going to actually push that up. Let's take a look at my branches. So there's my feature branch for the YAML configuration builder. So let's check that out. There we go. Must be evening there in the UK. DJ Vortex going for some beer. Fantastic. It's beer o'clock out there. I take it. So here I'm in my feature YAML branch now. Let me merge in those changes from dev. Merge failed. Of course it failed. Let's take a look-see here. Both modified the CS proj. All right. So I'm going to cheat, because I love cheating. Configuration builders, Fritz, configuration builder CS Proj. I'm going to open that in Visual Studio Code, because Visual Studio Code, in my opinion, and it's my show, so I get to voice my opinion, and my opinion's the one that matters, has an amazing way to view the changes here and be able to merge these easily. And you know what? I want both of these changes, including the YAML configuration builder and the RSS one. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to say accept both changes, and I get both of them included. Oh, look at that. Visual Studio Code will be updated after it restarts. Well, let me save my changes, and you can go ahead and update. Oh, Visual Studio Code. What did you do? I really want you to update. Go ahead. Do it. But I want you to update in the background. There you go, little fella. All right. I said Duff. Oh. Yes, that was a Simpsons thing, wasn't it? All right. So now I want to add my CS Proj. Fritz, configuration builder, CS Proj. Fantastic. All right. Git commit. Merged. RSS. Fantastic. So let me push those changes up. Okay. Now, there's beer over there in Mixer. Yeah, come on in. It's nice and warm. They got a bar over in Mixer. The only thing about VS Code I cannot stand, I have to restart it every single day, and it's usually asking me about 5 minutes after I'm working on something. I can understand that. But you don't have to take those changes immediately, right? You can tell it to hold off and take it a little bit later if you'd like. So, it's your choice. But I can buy that frustration. So let's reload my projects over here. Now, with this project, I have live unit testing turned on, and I want to make sure that I have strong unit testing around these configuration builders, because I am publishing a NuGet package, and I want to make sure that folks can rely on it. Organic IT. Would you rather no one work on the product and it never updates? So, all right, little aside here. This is something that kind of bothers me. And tell me what you think. There's two sides of looking at software and open source projects, commercial products. They all run into the same thing. If you're not constantly adding new features, right? If you're not adding new features, then the product is dead. It might be in maintenance. It might be done. It might have all the features that everybody's ever requested, and it's dead. It might have a 25-year support lifecycle behind it, and any bug that comes in, they may be fixing and deploying. But if it isn't getting new features, it's dead, and we need to go find something else, is the opinion of some folks. And that feels bad, because the flip side of that is, if it is dead, then you're going to go find some other product to use, some other library, some other framework, some other tool. And when you are using that tool, it's still being built. It doesn't have the features you need. So you can't use that new tool because it doesn't have your features. So now you're in this paradox. You want to use the new tool because it's the new tool, but it doesn't have the features you need. So you can't use it, but you don't want to use the existing tool that's great, has been around for a while, has all the features you could have ever requested. But because they're not actively developing it, because it has a long support cycle, it's in maintenance mode. You're receiving regular updates, but not new features. It's dead, and you can't use it. So you're going to go off and build your own thing. It's this weird paradox that folks in our industry are caught in, and it's very frustrating to me as a technologist when I hear and I see folks who need to be on the bleeding edge And if the technology isn't advancing, if there are no new features to add, people feel bad about that. Well, if you want new features, what are the new features you want? Well, it already has the features I need. Then why are you complaining? I don't understand the problem here. If we gave you every single feature you could have ever wanted, I don't understand why you can't use it then, right? It's this weird paradox and this paralysis that some folks in our industry get into. And it's weird to have to deal with, in my opinion. Let me know what you think in the chat room. I would rather have a better system where I don't have to make the choice every time I'm working. Fair enough. I think there's an opportunity to say, you know what, don't bother me for X amount of time. Visual Studio Code has the option to say install later after I'm done closing. I think that's a nice approach to it also. You know, do the install, do the update after I'm done working. I think that's pretty good. I have 33 downloads on my extension so far and not a single comment or bug. DJ Vortex, congratulations. It's perfect. I have no idea if it's working for people. Don't get me wrong, I'm converted to VS Code, just saying that it's the only thing because he just had that happen. I understand some of the frustration in that chaos theory. And I think the ability to say install later is always available to you. Right? Go ahead and push that button and let it do the install when you get up and you go refresh your coffee, you step away to the restroom. I think there's opportunities there to do that. What is DJ Vortex extension? Oh gosh, let's take a look. Marketplace, visualstudio.com, and it is, I believe is it music player? No, what's it called? Where is it? Vortex. Let's see if that pops up. There it is. Visual Studio Media Player. 33 downloads. It's completely free. Based on the base library. There's got to be a way to put screenshots in these things. You know what I'm saying? But this was based on... DJ Vortex started working on this based on the work we did on Epic Build Music. And here we go. So check out his extension there, and it'll play music for you. It'll play in the background while you're doing your development. This is the media player. Fantastic. Well done, DJ Vortex. And it won't work necessarily coming off of this machine because I'm remoted in, and there's back and forth. So where was I? Configuration builders. Got to do a scream test, include a bug on purpose. Raven Duel, a YAML configuration builder. Good morning. So configuration builders are .NET 4.7.1, which means that is a Windows only and .NET framework only feature. Can't wait for the ASP.NET Core workshop. Cool. Tell your friends, get online. Hey, check this out. This is going to be a lot of fun. You're going to learn something. And we'll get a cool workshop together here online. Can I get a copy-paste to that GitHub? So this is Vortex VS Media Player extension. And here's what I'm going to do. I don't have... Where are you at? You're on Twitch. Let's go... Twitch, TV, C# Fritz. I'm going to need to bring this down, otherwise we're going to end up with some, oh, this is going to be weird. Here, I'm just going to paste that in real quick. There you go. All right. Now, YAML configuration builder. Let's get into this. So I had started working on this, and what I learned very quickly is YAML is hard to navigate. It is. Let me see here. And my test explorer here, it looks kind of funny. I thought there was a way to show these group by namespace. There we go. That's better. So there's all my ini file tests, but I want to start working on my YAML test down here. So, ugh, I absolutely despise the YAML markup language. YAML is a mess. I understand. 'Tis indeed, and they outlawed tabs too. Okay, that feels weird. Okay, that tabs is a problem in YAML. But what we're going to do over here. So here are the requirements that this is Christian Aka, right? Saying, hey, Christian Crowhurst. Here we go. So let's look at specifying the location of the YAML file that we use to inject, support an absolute file path, and support a relative file path. So let's make sure that those things work. So here's my YAML configuration builder. So the YAML configuration builder is going to appear. Here are my tests. I've got a simple YAML file that it knows how to read and consume. But the configuration builder has a couple of very simple methods, right? This is a key value config builder. All the configuration are key value pairs, right? Kind of makes sense. I have a location that I'm going to specify. That's the file location on disk that we're going to load. I'm going to initialize, right? This is called by the configuration system of .NET to set up and actually start running, start reading the YAML configuration. So first thing I want to do is make sure that I can find that file. So I'm going to open a stream reader looking at that location, open a YAML stream, and set up a document to actually start parsing those documents. There are two methods that configuration builders use to actually start reading and getting those values when it wants to put things into a place like app settings or connection strings. And that's get all values and get value. So get all values, it's going to look for and it wants to put together a collection of key value pairs, right? So that's what I did here. I wrote a real quick for each statement to go and fetch all those values and just return it. Or for a specific key, go find that key here in my YAML document and return the associated value that goes with it. So I think, and based on my unit tests here, it looks like those simple things are working properly. Raven Duel says, I mean, from a parser's perspective, aren't tabs easier to work with? Instead of calculating the average number of spaces, figure out or whatnot, they could simply use the characters. I don't know what they... You know what? Folks who write their own configuration file format can specify however they'd like it to be parsed and handled. For those of you that are joined a little bit late here, I'm looking at adding support for a YouTube live stream, and I think just to make sure I don't skew that goal up at the top, I think I'm going to hold off until we meet the goal to add YouTube, because I know there are folks who at their business, at their place of work, they get blocked from accessing Twitch or Mixer, and I know there are some folks in other parts of the world that can't access YouTube but can access Twitch and Mixer. So I want to make sure that I can allow the most number of people to access this. A message on Twitter, found your website, would love to interview you for Mentoring Devs, the Mentoring Developers podcast. Was wondering if you had any weekend availability for a Skype interview. I'm streaming right now and would love to be on your podcast. Let's look at Saturday. No, I'll DM to discuss. There we go. Cool. It's not about the tabs that's making YAML hard to parse. YAML is hard to parse because the structure of it is so free-flowing. How do I know exactly what to parse and read and put where? It's really, really tricky. But I want to look at, where do we go here? Let's look at this first requirement. Support absolute file path and support a relative file path relative to the web config. So missing location attribute should throw an exception. So I think I'm already doing that. Right, so there's the location. So when initialize happens, if string is null or empty, this location. So I'm just doing a new stream reader location. location. Ooh. I got a 502 bad gateway on my Twitch API over here. Rerun. We'll need to figure that out later. All right, so let's add some unit tests here to kind of play out some of these requests. Support absolute file path, support relative file path. So, and this is a common practice that I like to do when I'm approaching some requirements like this. Am I doing the parsing myself? No, I have a library to do that. I'll show you that in just a minute. But let's get past this location test first. So absolute file path and relative file path. Those are two requirements that I think are easy to declare and enforce as unit tests. I would really love to do that as behavior-driven development, but I think we can do this as unit tests really easy. So I have a required fields here. What do we got there? Okay, let's collapse that. So missing location. So let's also add this, and I'm using NUnit here for these. Public void. Let's call this supports relative location. Right? And I'll add another test down here. Public void supports absolute location. And I'm going to start work on the relative one first to make sure that I don't forget this one. I'm going to assert fail it just to make sure that this one fails. And there you go. And now, you know what? Let's do this. Let's not do that. Let's do ignore on this so that I don't fail all my tests and it still looks like I've got... What? Why don't you like that? Not complete. There we go. A Twitch streamer that's writing test cases must be a first. We're working on it. Not quite there yet. And I'm not just a Twitch streamer. You know what I should do? You know what I should do that we learned from our work on Stream Tools? I should copy over my editor config file, right? I made that mistake when I got started over in that work. So let's do this. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to literally just copy it over. So that was in Fritz Stream Tools editor config, right? So now I've got an editor config over here that has preferences for the way that I like to run things. I'm going to go into solution items here and add my editor config so that I can kind of enforce that I want carriage return line feed at the end, I want tab indents, and I want to prefer var and braces here. So that should help a little bit with some of this. And where's my blue line here? What's it groaning about? I see the blue line. Where'd it go? What's this? Cumin-citus? Because I can. I don't understand. How do you multi-broadcast to Twitch and Mixer? Ravenduel, I use a service called Restream.io. I'm not quite sure what's going on my dev machine over there. Wow, that machine is really taking a beating right now. What the heck is it doing? I'm confused here. Let me show you. Let's look at Task Manager, see what's going on over here. Now, things are good. All right. There's information about my setup if you go to live.jeffreyfritz.com. There's a link down here called Live Streaming 101. And talks about my chroma key, and here I talk about using Restream.io as my broadcast point, and that lets me broadcast to multiple services. It is not free, but well worth it if wanting to be in two places at once. Restream is free. You end up running into a paid service if you want to take advantage of some of their other features. Where is it? Not referral program. If you want to be able to connect and add channels and resync with those things without having to start and restop your stream. But I don't start and restart my stream, so no big deal. That's the long and short of it. And the integrated chat that you're seeing in video is from Restream.io. So, all right, let me get back over to this. Now, here's my simple YAML file that we're testing against. I'm not actually going to be loading it. Time for me to drop out. Thanks for the stream. Good seeing you, DJ Vortex. Let me go back to my required fields. So I want to support relative location. So right now, I want to make sure that it actually loads and finds simple YAML. So let me look at this. So the config file name is simple YAML. And when it goes to load that, config file location. So this, what it's bringing back, oops, wrong one. There we go. It's a get with a private set. So when it does setup, it actually creates a temp file name. So it's creating a full path. And get config file name. So let's see what that's actually doing. Oh, it's an abstract. All right. So over here on simple. All right, so it's just returning simple YAML and okay. So it's doing get manifest resource stream, which I believe returns a full absolute path. So let's take a look at that. I'm going to come back over to my simple tests. Let's run just this first one, but I'm going to run it in debug mode so I can inspect and confirm that that's an absolute path that it's using. You're debugging a release build. Continue. Let's see if it actually hits it. No. Yeah. I've angered Visual Studio. So. All right. Yeah, I've really angered it. Wow. Let's see. Come on. Let me close the solution and try reopening. How's my requirements coming along? Ah, wired carrot. So actually, I think we have a bit of what you have listed in your requirements actually satisfied. Let's take a look-see here. So I'm going to debug into this simple one. Let's debug this, and it should hit that breakpoint. Shoot, I'm still in release mode. And it didn't open up my release box here. Close that. Reopen. Still didn't open that. You stink. Alright. You broke my Visual Studio. No. Let's fully close Visual Studio. Let's reopen it. I'm going to right-click on Visual Studio down here. I'm right-clicking on Visual Studio. There it is. Alright. That is one trippy hat. My hat? What's so trippy about it? I thought it was pretty cool. It's just an eagle. It's the Philadelphia Eagles eagle. Let's see here. Once. All right. Let's see here. All right. Debug. Whew. Got that one. Get past that to start here. So, base YAML fixture. Let's see. Simple. I'm going to put a breakpoint right here. And I want to debug, and I want to see if it is, in fact, properly supporting all of that. Okay. Here we go. All right. So let's step in now. All right. So that's the ini file name. So I'm going to get the folder. Now the resource that it's pointing to is it's actually pulling from a unmanaged memory stream, okay? Because we want to make sure that that my test files follow along. My chroma key is picking up the green from the hat so we can sort of see through it. I know, isn't that cool? Whoa. What lets you run individual unit tests? That's actually a feature of the tests integration in Visual Studio. Let me continue stepping through this and I'll show you. So it's going to copy to a file path that's already been declared out here because I said get a temp file name. No, we've done it. Don't expand it. Don't worry about that. Go away. Go away. I don't need to see all that. Yes, timed out. I don't care. Step through. So now it's actually written into this config file location. It's still copying, and I've blown out Visual Studio again here. Wow. What's really cool with the chroma key, while we're waiting to see if Visual Studio comes back here or if I need to nuke it again, I have green poker chips. So, right, look at that. I've been shot. Bullet holes right through me. All right. Holy crow. The wife started a discussion with the family, and I'm just getting buzz, 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 buzz. All right. Let's see here. Someone sent a PR for the colors for the followers gold bar. Yes, random dude. That's what we did a little bit earlier today. We merged in the change there from Mr. Magoo, who I think is still out there. I think he was in Mixer. It's like Portal in real life. Yeah, I think it does look great. It's a nice little addition there. Let's stop this. So I'm going to go down and set breakpoint on one-time setup, and let's see what that looks like. Oops, wrong one. My bad. Don't do that. Don't do that. That's bad. If I want to debug, right, I can find just that one test here. Right, it was should add missing app settings. Should read settings from file. I can right click and I can say debug selected test. So this comes with Visual Studio. I believe you can do it in Visual Studio Community. So I'll start that, and now I'll step through. It should have stepped in. Oh, it's up here on one-time setup. All right. So I didn't override anything. So the file that it wrote to, right, is is a file stream at, there you go, there's my full config file location. So now, when it actually runs the test over here, when it should read those settings, all right, let me put a break right there. So the config file location actually is an absolute location. So I think for the purposes of this first requirement, support absolute file path, I think we've already got that one covered and that we do handle it properly. Yeah, I've got it locked up. I know. Right. So if I say, yes, cancel, run all. So it'll extract, it'll build, and it'll run all my tests. There you go. So I think the absolute location does work. And I'm actually going to, I'm going to assert dot, it's not fail, is it success? Pass? There it is. This is supported and tested with the base fixture configuration and resource extraction. Okay. So I think, so for the purposes of that one, we're in good shape. Now I've got a red line over here. Why do I have a red line? What did I anger over here? Oh, it doesn't like me doing that. Yep, use var. That's fine. All right. So I'm not even looking at the actual parsing at that point. I'm just looking at how do we test a local, right, a relative location. So let's save all that, right? If I rerun, this should go away and turn into a green. There we go. All right. Cool. So supports relative location. So how do we test this so that we can ensure that it is working properly? Right, because I've got this very simplified approach to being able to test my settings. Right, because oh, actually, this one isn't inheriting from that same base fixture. So I might be able to work around this a little bit. Let's take a look. So the requirement, isn't that? I still think that's kind of cool that my hat is kind of see-through. Look at that. So how am I going to put down the file in a location where it could be relative to the process for processing? If I look at how my simple test runs, and I've got breakpoints all over the place here. Should read settings from file. It creates an app settings section. It adds an app setting that we want to override. And it goes and it reads from this simple YAML file, and it wants to override that. So I want to do almost the exact same test, but I want to make sure that it goes against a relative location instead of this. So here's what I'm going to do. Let's start by cheating and just copying in that. Okay. I'm missing a slash there. So I've got my standard arrange, act, and assert tests. Set up my app settings section. Okay. And my location, I want to write this out into a relative config file location, not the absolute location. So what's going to be the relative location? It's going to be relative to where... See, this is going to be tricky. And I feel like I may only be able to... All right, catch you later, Mr. Magoo. That still feels weird to say, but I don't mind saying it. Catch you later, Mr. Magoo. I feel like I'm insulting someone, but I know that's your name. By the way, I'm setting up to try and do live streaming live at different events. We'll see how that goes. I'm talking to a couple of folks that run events and seeing what we can do to get that set up. Config file location. How am I going to write it down somewhere where I can see the web config and it's relative to that location? Right, because I'm not reading from the actual app settings, right? I've completely pulled back from it. Actually, we might be okay on this. If I look at my sample here, I might not even need to write this one. If I look at sample ini, right, and I look at app config, it's actually a relative location already, and it's picking up that file in the same thing. Hey, how's it going, Playing with Scissors? Once again, it feels weird to say. You know what? I don't think I need to do this here. I has cheese hats. Oh, thank you for the subscription. Gosh, I don't require anybody to subscribe. I really appreciate that. And of course, I don't request any money from anybody in the stream. But if you do want to cheer, if you want to subscribe, I will match those. I will match those funds, and my employer matches them as well when I donate them to a good cause, to a charitable cause, and any money that you want to contribute here. Thank you for the follow, I has cheese hats. I will donate to Girl Develop It, and they're a nonprofit organization that is dedicated to helping women, to helping underserved minorities to be able to learn and write code. So if you do want to support the stream, you're also supporting those folks, and your support will actually be tripled in supporting those folks. So that's pretty cool. Trying to wrap my head around configuration file blending and integration. We were talking about that a little while ago. So this is supported by the framework. No explicit code needed. So I don't need to do anything extra to make that work. All right. So these two are good. Support multiple YAML file builders to apply to the same web config section. I think we also support that as well. To apply to the same web config section. All right, let's do this. Skyoshi says, awesome organization to donate to. Yes, my friend Sarah Chips was one of the founders of that. I'm more than happy to support that group. They're doing some great stuff over there. I'm going to add a new sample project over here so that we can start to take a look and test out and feel what this looks like. So I'm just going to add a console app over here, and I don't want to put it right in my configuration builders folder. I actually have a samples folder here. Let's do this. Right click, open folder in File Explorer. See, it's under samples here. Is that Ratan Parai? Welcome. Thank you for the follow. Good. I has cheese hats. Good to hear. Have been sitting in the stream for the last 30 minutes. New here. What are you building? Great cause as well. So this is, and I'll recap. This is a library that you can use with .NET Framework 4.7.1 and later. .NET Framework 4.7.1 is the latest version of the .NET Framework that runs on all versions of Windows. And this will allow you to extend your configuration to include other third-party configuration sources. So I've added INI files. Giancarlo contributed some code so that you can read RSS files and update the configuration manager that .NET provides for you by default. So it's a nice little it's a nice way for you to get those features, right? Get that configuration from another source without having to change your code. And this is really beneficial if you're in a Docker container with your application running, because then you can pull your configuration with RSS from some other server. I'm breaking up a bit. I'm not dropping frames. And I'm at 30 frames per second. So Twitch is reporting things are good on my side. And actually, Wired Carrot, I'm going to turn your requirements into a checklist here. Give me 1 second. Let's come back over here. And I'm going to edit this. And let's turn this into a checklist. Let's do this. Right, so if you use bracket, space, bracket, it'll actually turn it into... Oh, it didn't turn it into the checklist. Do I need to delete the spaces on these? Oh no, you have to put a hyphen in front of it. That's what I'm thinking. Right, so this, support mapping sections, yep. Right, so now if I do preview, there we go, checkboxes, fantastic. There we go. So we've got this, this, and this. I know those all work. We've tested and shown them here on stream. Allow multiple YAML file builders to apply to the same web config section. I think that's something good that we can show here in a sample. Make sure that this works. So let me just grab I'm gonna cheat and copy my simple YAML file over here. So I have value 1, value 2. I've got to build out my app config here so that it references and uses these. So let me just go here and I will add that app config and paste that right in. So this is not this one. We're going to use YAML. Greedy, sure. I don't have a feed. I have a location. And the location is simple YML. You know what? Let's call this YAML 1. Let's just do YAML 1. And this is YAML configuration builder. Cool. We want to have 2 of these, so I will paste a second one. And I will have this come from simple 2. And I should be able to say YAML 1, YAML 2. Nice, yeah, I get what you're saying. Okay. So let's copy and paste this, and we will rename this one to simple 2. Simple 2, we will add setting 3, value 3, and setting 4, value 4, right? So that's a very simple YAML file that doesn't have any hierarchy. It's one level there. Let's see here. All right. Would have been a bit presumptuous. Yeah, I get it. I get it. No worries. I am happy to work with you on this. So, right. Not that one. All right, so there I'm reading those 2, bringing in config builders and putting them into app settings. So if everything works right, I should see 4 settings coming out there. I'm going to steal what I have here in Program CS. And I'm just going to copy this. Right, because I'm going to be doing the exact same thing. Just want to output all the contents right here. I need to fix some references. Add reference to system configuration. Here are my current... Why am I not... what was to quantity? What am I missing there? Oh, you know what? Because I'm using Humanizer over here. Haha! That's okay. I don't need to use Humanizer in this one. Where'd it go? Down here. Here are my current... let's paste that. And I should be able to say, yeah. And let's just get rid of that. This. Cool. All right, and it should just read them and write them out. Real easy. Playing with scissors. How do you handle exceptions in C#, specifically for the Fritz stream tools? Let's say you are doing something for the follower's goal where you have a start point and a goal point, but you want these values to be configurable. If the person doing the config sets the starting point higher than the goal, what do? You can just point at code where you do something similar, and I will take it from there. So in this code, I do something similar. In my YAML configuration builder, because that's the one I'm working on right now, I do a check right up top and say if this is null or empty, I throw an exception for this because I want you to know immediately that you broke something. This isn't running properly. It feels really bad. Got to duck out as okay. Of course, I'll be recording and we'll have the output from this archived over on YouTube, and we'll see. We'll have some notes up on the blog later. So, if you want to reach out, then drop another comment on the issue. Not a problem. I will update with status when we're done here, because I think we actually cover a bit of the features you're looking for already. However, playing with scissors, what I would do for the exception on that web thing, I would, right, if the goal is bigger, I would throw something in the... No, I think you're okay to throw an exception. So, gotta bail too. Go Eagles. Hey, there you go. Terrific. Let's, I want to see what this shows when I run my simple YAML with 2 YAML configuration files. Error loading a configuration. Could not load file or assembly. I didn't add the reference. All right. So this is a console application. I need to make sure I have a reference to my configuration builders project. So let me add that reference. It's a project. There it is. And let's debug start. Could not find file, C, dev, blah, 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 blah. Samples YAML, bin, debug, simple YAML. It's right there. If you look at these files, the ini file here, check this out. This is what I'm doing wrong. You got to make sure you have it set to copy to the output folder. So let's set a properties on this. And we need to make sure that this is copied to the output folder. Same thing with simple 2. Right, so I'll do a properties on this, and copy, save, and we will try that sample one more time. There we go. So I've got my 4 settings. Check that out. There you go. So we've got some proof that you can run multiple YAML configuration builders against the same section, and it'll load from all of those, and it applies them in the order that those appear separated with commas. Kind of a silly question, but do uncaught exceptions stop the software from running? No. With web applications, uncaught exceptions will throw an error page. You'll throw a 500 error page that will display an appropriate error message, or we can actually write an error handler in there that'll format and present your error nicely. So we have some options there. All right, so my sample shows that works. So I'm actually going to put that. The new samples YAML project demonstrates the use of multiple YAML configuration builders with one app settings section. All right. So I'm good on that. Support mapping sections in a web config hierarchy to corresponding sections in a YAML file. This is a little bit trickier and is going to be a little bit more than we have time for today. And it's right about quitting time for the stream here. I don't want to have to create multiple YAML files, one for each section that I want to inject config files into. So what I like here is this this will we want to have one YAML file, but say, you know what, copy this section and use it over here, copy this section and use it over there. I think we're going to need to do some work to figure that out because it's not quite there. Option to skip the YAML builder if its source file does not exist. I believe that also is already supported, so let me go into app config, and if I yank, no, if simple YAML and simple 2, so we already saw that that's a problem. If those files don't exist, it'll error out. Why are there two options, copy always and copy if newer? Good question, Ravenduel. Tell you what, let's take a look at that quickly. So here, the two options, copy always says, I don't care what the file is over there, always copy it over and overwrite it, because you may make changes in those files in your output directory where it's building and laying down the contents. If you make changes to it, whatever's in the project that we're working on over here right in the project folder will be overwritten in the output folder, right? And just to make sure that's a little bit clearer, let me open this folder so you can see what I'm talking about. So this is where samples YAML lives, right? There's my project file, there's my YAML files that I'm using. When this project builds, it outputs to the bin and then my appropriate configuration, in this case debug, and it'll write into this, and there's all the files that it writes when it compiles my this application, this simple console exe. And of course I'm only running this one, but I want to make sure that I copy over these files. I could choose copy if newer, and that will copy over if I update my file and the file that's in my output folder is older, it'll overwrite it. So let's see. Did you try conflicts between the two files? What happens if both files have the same key with different values? Tell you what, let me show you what happens with that, because I do know the answer for that one. Let me come back here. So I have YAML 1, YAML 2 in that order. So let me add an option here, and I will call it setting conflict. All right, and I will call this YAML 1. All right, and I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to paste it into simple 2. There it is, and I will call it YAML 2. Save those files. Now, because they're referenced in this order, YAML 2 should overwrite YAML 1, because that's the order that you've requested them. You've explicitly told me here's the order to apply them, and YAML 2 is the value that comes back. Good question, playing with scissors, and I will document that here. If you choose to use two files, and this is just two configuration builders on the same section, the last one referenced takes priority. All right. Good question. Okay. So I think that's all I have time for today. Let's commit these changes. There we go. Let's add editor config. I'm going to commit that separately. Added editor config. And then let's add samples. There it is. Let's commit that one. Added YAML sample. Okay. And let's commit everything else. added some tests for YAML configuration builder. Cool. Push that. Is that PoshGit? Yes, it is. And I think I actually added a link to it on my livestream Git repository, if you want to check that out. So if you go here in livestream, and where is it? I thought I put a reference to PoshGit. Oh no, you know what? I put it on the wrap-up of I put a reference to it on the wrap-up for the last stream. So if you go to my blog, jeffreyfritz.com, you can see it. And it's not, well, I started with command, right? I'd ran PowerShell directly in here instead of calling PowerShell directly. So there you go. Fritz. Right. So there you go. I'm not going to cut a new NuGet package here because I haven't changed anything yet. But I feel like we're getting there with this. So these ones are going to take a little bit. Option to skip the YAML builder if its file does not exist. I think that's not too bad. It should be easy to add. Is my green screen failing? We can see a bit not masked. Actually, no, it's because I'm wearing a green hat. That's what's going on. Haha! Right? And I can do cool things like hold up my green poker chips. Right? And there's cool things that we can play with there. So, let's see. I think that's all I'm going to have time for today. But we'll come back and we'll look at more of these requirements. Trigger the cycle of app domain. I'm actually going to put a strike through on these because that's not something supported by the feature. Nope, didn't. So I'm actually going to. How do we do a markdown strike through? Yeah, let's just get rid of the check on these. There we go. Is it the tildes around it? Will that work? Tilde. All right, let's see what that looks like. Hey, all right. Thank you for the tip. Thank you, Corpa, with the tip on that one. All right, so those are, I've got strike-throughs on. We'll look at these other three another time. So the changes are pushed up. All right. Committed changes in the feature YAML branch. Still working on a few more. And we'll hit that next time. All right. Cool. Almost there. We should be able to finish that next time, I think. Fantastic. And back to GitHub. Cool. Well, thanks so much, everybody, for joining me here this morning. That's all the time I have today. I've got a couple things I need to get to. It's a very busy morning. I've got planning that I'm trying to wrap up for MVP Summit. If you're an MVP and you're coming out to Redmond in March, I'm working on some planning for that event. I've got some planning for an event in Seattle at the end of the month. That's where I'll be for an internal Microsoft event that I'm hosting. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining me. If you have any questions, drop them in the live stream repository. I'm going to work to try and get that Discord server up and running for Thursday. We should be able to introduce it then. And tell your friends to come out and follow me. We are 41 followers away from the ASP.NET Core Workshop. So encourage your friends, tell your colleagues, and they might learn a little something. It might be valuable for everybody. So Thanks again, everybody that joined me. I'll see you next time. Take care.